are at risk. Our legal status, our futures, our very right to be here are being used as a political tools to silence us. But let me be clear. Education is not a privilege handed out by governments to those they find convenient. It is a human right. One that transcends borders and belongs to every student regardless of where they were born. We came here because we believe in the power of education. We came here because we wanted to contribute to research, to innovation, to communities, to this nation's progress. And yet, instead of welcoming us, policies are being designed to make us feel unwelcome, to push us out, to tell us we do not belong, but we do belong. We belong in these classrooms, in the research labs, in these student organizations, and in these communities. We belong here just as much as any other student. And this does not stop with us. Attacks in education extend far beyond international students. They target special educational programs, grants for low-income students, research funding, and civil rights protections. Almost a third of undergraduate students rely on Pell Grants to afford college. Over 7.5 million public schools students receive special education services. And every year, thousands of civil rights cases in schools are resolved through the Department of Education. Yet, all of this is now at risk. We demand that Congress takes action. We demand that they preserve and strengthen the Department of Education, ensuring that it continues to protect all students regardless of nationality, race, gender, or status. We demand that our professors and teachers retain their academic freedom and their ability to teach honest and complete histories that is not dedicated by politicians to fit their agendas. We demand that students, all students, international and domestic, be able to express their political opinions without fear of retaliation, deportation, or threats to their legal status. We demand that the federal government takes its hands off our schools and let students and educators shape their own futures. But as we fight, we must also take care of ourselves. To my fellow international students, I say this: you're not alone. We see you, we stand with you. Lean on your communities and rely on your fellow students and find strength in one another. There is power in unity and there's resilience in hope. Take care of your mental health, prioritize your safety, and remember that resistance does not always have to be loud. It can also be found in taking care of yourself, in finding moments of peace, in supporting one another through these difficult times. We, the students of George Mason University, Georgetown, Howard, American, and Temple universities, along as all the other universities and high schools across the DC, are here today to say enough. We will not stand idly by as our education system is stripped of its integrity, its diversity, and its freedom. We will fight back against these unconstitutional attacks on our institutions, on our free speech, and our ability to learn in an environment that embraces us all. We are not just fighting for ourselves, we are fighting for every student who has ever been silenced, for every student who has ever felt unsafe or welcome, for every student who dreams of an education free from political interference. And we will not stop, not today or ever. So, I ask you, would you stand with us? Would you raise your voice in defense of education, of diversity, of academic freedom? Will you fight for a future where students, not politicians, shape the culture of our schools? If we stand together, if we remain persistent as those before us have, we will win. Hands up for schools, hands up for students, hands up for future. Thank you, everyone.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Thank you to my fellow students across our classrooms, our campuses, and our country. Thank you for being here to say, hands off our schools. And a special thanks to our friends at GUSA and across DC for being the backbone of this beautiful rally. It's impressive and heartwarming to see so much solidarity with students. My name is Caden Wime. I'm the board president of the Task Force for Democracy. We're a national student-led organization building across class and culture to demand a just and inclusive democracy for our generation. We began as 7 students after January 6th. We came together because we understood that to pull ourselves back from the footsteps of fascism, we had to organize our generation to demand democracy. We started organizing, though, for students' rights and faced pushback from our school administration. And our school district even tried to shut us down. But were we silent? No! As the threats to democracy evolved, so did our mission. We became a national nonprofit fighting corporate money in politics, organizing students under autocracy and resisting Project 2025. We're not satisfied. We're not satisfied with education or the democracy we're told we have, one of corporate cash in elections, one without labor protections, and with gerrymandered districts and red lines that increase electoral and learning disparities. And we're fighting in the state houses and in the streets to demand the democracy we deserve. I say this because our movement was possible because of our education, the one we received. Even as high school students 4 years ago, we knew we could advocate, organize, and call for systemic solutions for our democracy's most pressing challenges. Education taught us that we were part of a broader context of young people who had stood up against insurmountable odds. We were told of the stories of the young John Lewis and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. We were taught that no matter how young, we are the energy and passion behind the successful social justice movements of our age. But we have to ask ourselves now, what does a democracy without education look like? It looks the same as the attacks we faced from our school board taking place at the national level. It looks like erasing our power and the stories of the civil rights movement, of the women's rights movement, erasing the names of those who fought at Stonewall. We didn't stay silent then 4 years ago. We won't stay silent now. The corporate class knows how critical it is to captivate our classrooms. For decades, the Heritage Foundation the author of Project 2025, poured money to uplift school boards and curriculums that promote a whitewashed, authoritarian, and anti-free thought agenda. We've been seeing the effects already. In my hometown school district in Arizona, textbook chapters about voting and civil rights movements are barred from being taught. In Florida, book bans have become so excessive that some teachers feel safer placing caution tape over their libraries than facing retaliation for letting their students learn. Shame. Shame. We are seeing it as college students are forcibly removed from their campuses and homes, crying out as they're abducted because they dare speak out against global injustices. Their intention is to create a generation that knows no academic freedom, a generation that was never taught to question and rise and resist injustice, a generation not of free thinkers, but of passive workers. This is about Trump and McMahon lining their pockets of their corporate contributors by putting our education, our democracy on the line. We have a great School of Education at American University. Yes, give it up for us. We have a great School of Education at AU, and before I conclude, I want to quote something one of our students there told me. The goal of fascist regimes across time and place is to cultivate an uneducated, apathetic, and disempowered public. Just like our criminal justice and immigration systems, our education is a fertile testing ground for fascism. Maybe you're not a student or educator, but what you let them get away with in K through 12 or on college campuses will soon be weaponized against you. Democracy is not simply something that ends in the voting booth, but instead something that begins in the classroom. It should not be the bedrock of our communities, our workplace. It should be the bedrock of our communities, our workplaces, and our education. And as we speak, our adversaries are advancing their autocratic agenda from America, from bans on reproductive freedoms to deploying federal troops in our own city. And we, the students, we will resist, not out of fear, but out of faith. Faith in a democracy that belongs to the people, and an education that belongs to the students, not the corporations, not the power-hungry interests. A democracy that's founded on liberation, not oppression. One that's rooted in dignity and diversity, not despotism and despair. And one that is strengthened by the solidarity of all who are vulnerable. We're still in the first 100 days of the Trump presidency. And as you know, everyone says that what the president does in their first 100 days will set their tone for the next 4 years. But I want us to reject that notion today, because what we do now, how we rise and organize in the next 100 days, that will define our fight for the next 4 years. Trump and McMahon think that this past election was their mandate for our suppression, but if this election was anything, it was our call to action to remedy the systemic injustices that have brought us here in the first place, to fight for our future, and to build the democracy we deserve. So I have 2 messages to conclude. To school administrators, do not cave to the Trump regime. Do not comply like Colombia did. Take a stand and link arms with us and be remembered as institutions who did not what was easy in the face of tyranny, but institutions who did what was right. To my fellow students, classrooms are our front line against fascism. And if the Trump regime tells us we're just students, what can we do? Let us remind them that in Serbia, in Chile, and in Bolivia, despots and dictators were not brought down by time or age, but by the strength of our peaceful, unified student movements like ours. So I'll close with a question to all of you who are still deciding whether to say something. When the textbooks of tomorrow take a look back on the actions we took today, what light do you want them to cast you in? So, if you're still wondering what to say, I hope you'll join me in saying, what does we'll read it. If you're still wondering what to say, I hope you'll join me in saying, money for schools and education, not for wars and deportation. Money for schools and education, not for wars and deportation. Money for schools and education, not for war and deportation. Money for schools and education, not for war and deportation. Money for schools and education, not for wars and deportation. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rauda, and today I stand here proudly as a Georgetown University student. But more importantly, I stand here as a community member mourning an injustice that demands our urgent attention. On Monday, March 17th, I had class with Dr. Badr Khan Suri until 6:30 p.m. Later that night, he joined our community for iftar, breaking his fast alongside us. While standing in line, waiting for food, he was engaging deeply with another student about the importance of protecting himself publicly in response to Mahmoud Khalil. Little did he know, later that same night, after peacefully praying on the on-school mosque, he would be abducted and forcefully arrested outside of his apartment building. What was his crime? Being married to a Palestinian woman and having the courage to openly oppose genocide and injustice. I've known Dr. Badr Khan for 3 years. To say that he's a pillar of our Georgetown community doesn't even begin to capture who he truly is. He has always been a familiar face, bringing warmth and wisdom wherever he went. Badr, his incredible wife, their beautiful children became fundamental parts of our community, our family. His kids who mirror his compassion and resilience reminded us daily of the kind man he is, one who was dedicated to justice, love, and kindness. Last Ramadan, Badr was breaking fast with us, sharing meals, praying beside us. This Ramadan, instead, he sat unjustly confined in a cold jail cell, far away from his loved ones, away from the community that cherishes him so deeply, and it breaks our hearts to know this. I am also currently enrolled in his class, Majoritarianism and Minority Rights in South Asia, a course explicitly about confronting racism and the cruel oppression of Muslims in India. Badr taught us courageously to challenge injustice and to speak truth to power, precisely the values for which he is now being punished for. I spoke recently to his wife, and she shared with me the last few words Badr spoke as he was being taken away. He didn't cry out for himself. Instead, he said, "Take care of my students, make sure they are okay." That's who Badr Khansuri is, a selfless teacher, a caring friend, a loving husband, and an exemplary father. Today, opposing genocide makes you a threat. Today, speaking truth makes you a target. Caring about human rights and freedom of speech puts you in danger. If we don't stand up now, if we don't say enough is enough, they will not stop. Trump's administration and those who support these relentless attacks on our education, our diversity, our freedoms will continue, emboldened by our silence. Today it's Badr Khan. Tomorrow, who will be taken away from us? Who else will be labeled a threat simply for standing up against injustice and oppression? We must not live in fear. We must recognize that the threat is real and present. We must raise our voices louder than ever, stand shoulder to shoulder, and demand justice. We demand the immediate release and freedom of Badr Khansuri, Mahmoud Khalil, and everyone else who has been unjustly abducted and imprisoned. This is not only a fight for them, it's a fight for all of us, for our freedom to speak, to learn, to exist without fear. They are afraid of us when we come together, and we will make sure they stay afraid. Yeah. Keep protesting, keep speaking, keep showing up. We are powerful together, and we will never stop until Badr and everyone unjustly imprisoned are home, free, and where they belong. Hands off our schools, hands off our professors, hands off our communities, and free Palestine.
So we all see this building behind us, right? The DOE. We're gonna do another chant. Give us back our DOE. You can't take free speech from me. Give us back our DOE. You can't take free speech from me. Give us back our DOE. You can't take free speech from me. Give us back our DOE. You can't take free speech from me. Give us back our DOE. You can't take free speech from me.
Hands off our schools. Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I go to Georgetown. Let me first say, what we've built here is monumental. We are students united, standing up for our education. We've come together in a truly historic coalition, even though many of us might be feeling scared. I'll be honest, I feel scared a whole lot. As a kid, I never spoke up or even spoke at all. In third grade, my dad challenged me to just say, "Hi, how are you?" to my third grade teacher, every day, and I never did it. Obviously, something changed because I'm up here yapping at you right now. Even though I'm still afraid. That something was student journalism. I found for the first time the power in using my voice. I found freedom in writing and speaking for the student community, and I found a sense of belonging in the public conversation. We, the students, are here today using our voices. It's more than a First Amendment right. It's who we are. It's how we build community, how we challenge ideas and stand up for what we believe in. Well, free speech is fundamental to learning, our growth, and now to our ability to fight back. We'll speak out loudly until our rights and our freedoms and our schools are free from government meddling. Isn't that right? We will always have our voices. Trump can't take that away from us, not by silencing our affinity spaces, not by cutting our funding, not by unlawfully detaining our friends. Look around. Together, we're unstoppable. I'm your last student speaker today, so I want to say a huge thank you to everyone here and a special shout out to our student coalition and to our student speakers. Each and every one of our voices is needed. Today we showed out in force. Tomorrow we'll be even stronger. We plan to keep growing our coalition, so please join our table up here later. Add your contact info, we have QR codes, and we'll stay connected. Now it's my honor to introduce our final speaker, Mary Beth Tinker. At 8 years old, she wore an armband at school to protest the Vietnam War, and the Supreme Court sided with her. Tinker v. Des Moines is a cornerstone of First Amendment protections in a landmark Supreme Court case that you all might have seen in your history textbooks. Mary Beth later became a nurse and is now traveling the country advocating for student free speech. One thing that Mary Beth has taught me is that it's okay to be afraid and shy. We won't back down, and we stand on the legacy of so many powerful student advocates. Please welcome the legendary Mary Beth Tinker.
Kicked a hornet's nest, and we're the hornets. Yeah. We're not going to sit back and watch the rip-off of our schools and our healthcare system and our efforts for a cleaner climate, for all of the things that we need, that we have paid our taxes for. No. Are we going to stand by and watch this? No. Never. And you know what I found out? It's a good way of life. Yeah, we get to meet each other and speak up, and it's good. We're not going to always win every little thing, but we're going to win in the end. Do you think so? Yeah. We're going to win, and thank you so much to the students, to all of you. It's always been students who have been in the lead, speaking up for justice and speaking up against injustice. And I found out it really helps me deal with the anger and the grief that I feel. Yes, I feel grief. I'm grieving right now because some of these corrupt senators and Congress people are not standing up for you. They're not standing up for students. And they're allowing, yesterday they voted 83 of them in the Senate, send more bombs to the corrupt Netanyahu genocide. Our money, $8 billion, just yesterday. They voted, it'd be okay, that'd be okay. Yeah, we can send $8 billion to bomb families in Gaza, bomb schools. bomb schools in Gaza, bomb hospitals, kill over 1,000 healthcare workers, hundreds of journalists. Free speech. Because we're thinking about not only students in our country, but students all over the world. And I assure you, you are joined not only through history, with all the people who you are standing on their shoulders, other students through history, but also all over the world. You are joined by students all over the world who are speaking up for justice, for equality, and against racism, and against the suffering that happens when some people have billions and some people have nothing. So I am heartened to know that you are here today and to be here with you. Yes, we do build community, and it is so important. And I am heartened by students speaking up at Columbia University, chaining themselves to the fence at Columbia University and speaking up for their fellow students who have been kidnapped and detained unfairly, and who are speaking up against ICE. Shame, shame. And I am heartened by students in New Jersey, 500 high school students, who did a walkout last week for their teachers. And I am heartened by students in Montana who are speaking up for school lunches, and they're not gonna, and these are 8th graders. Students who are speaking up for foster students, foster care students, and rural students, and LGBTQ students. The majority, as it turns out, of cases at the Civil Rights Unit at the Department of Education have to do with disability rights. Yeah. Students are speaking up for disability rights, and I am so heartened to hear that and to know that. It means so much to me to know that students have a heart, and not only the heart in the sense of justice, but also the energy and the will to take action. Action is what we are geared for and what we need right now. We cannot just talk, talk, talk. We have to take action, and that's one thing that young people are specialists in. Taking action. Now, we have had some victories also. Wisconsin. Voters there rejected these billionaires coming in and trying to buy the Supreme Court. Shame, shame, shame. Who do they think they are? These people have their damn nerve. But a really exciting thing about Wisconsin also was who won the superintendent of schools in Wisconsin. Yeah, that was Jill Underly. Yeah, she defeated the candidate who was all about vouchers and giving money, public money, to private schools. So I was really glad that she won too, because when students are in private schools, they don't have the First Amendment protections that students in public schools have, and we're going to stand up and speak up for our public schools. And I am so heartened to see that so many students in private schools are speaking up for the public schools also. It's very good. And students through history, you are joined with students, the Birmingham Children's Crusade, 1963. Those students would be here with you today. Students who stood up for racial justice, like students are doing right now all over our country and right here today, speaking up for racial justice. Being told, no, you can't do that, and it is the same forces that are here today that were here then. But those students didn't back down. 2,000 black high school students in Birmingham, Alabama protested and rallied and sang songs like, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah, they kept letting their little light shine. They didn't stop. The white supremacists, yeah, dressed in their white hoods and well, they don't dress like that nowadays, that much. Now we have white supremacists, and many of them are up in our Congress right now, but they just they wear normal clothes now. They just wear suits and ties, dresses and skirts. They don't usually wear that whole white thing with the hood and all that. No, but they're still white supremacists. Those students in Birmingham, they didn't back down. They didn't stop. So what did the white supremacists do? They bombed their headquarters. The 16th Street Baptist Church. 4 little girls were murdered. Cynthia, Addie Mae, Carol, and Denise. They were 11 to 14 years old. And I was 11 years old when I heard about that, when someone came by our picnic up in Des Moines, Iowa, and told us kids about that. And that's when I learned there is a risk. There's a risk for standing up. But I find it's a good way of life anyway. There's a risk, but it's so worth it. In the next year, yes, I'm glad someone mentioned the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. And they stood up for voting rights for African Americans, and they were called to Mississippi by heroes like Fannie Lou Hamer and Ella Baker, Robert Moses, and the 700 students went to Mississippi. They were brave. They knew that our democracy could do better. That's the power of young people. You see through the hypocrisy, the BS. And they went to Mississippi, and they were brave and courageous, and they were being threatened by the white supremacists. And immediately 3 of them went to investigate the bombing of a black church, and they were kidnapped and murdered. Andrew Goodman, James Chaney, and Mickey Schwerner disappeared. That fall, black high school students in Mississippi, they didn't accept that. They didn't sit by quietly and watch it. They went and protested at their high school. They wore buttons to school that said, "One man, one vote." And when the principal said, "No, you can't have that kind of controversy in school," they didn't shut up. No, they kept speaking up, and they started a lawsuit called Burnside, and they won their case at the appeals court. The appeals court said that if you use your free speech rights in school, you have a right to do that. Yeah. Wrong, and they said, yes, all rights have limits. You cannot substantially disrupt school with your free speech rights. And that would turn out to be the standard in free speech today in schools, because of these brave students in Mississippi speaking up against racism. That is the standard right now today in schools. But it didn't cover the whole country then. That would happen a couple of years later when several of us wore black armbands to school. We were inspired by those other children, those other kids who came before us. But that year, 1965, the Vietnam War was building up. And we spoke up and protested the atrocities of the Vietnam War, just like students are protesting the atrocities in Gaza right now. Did not sit by quietly and watch what the adults were doing, the hypocrites. They would send little cards around, "Oh, peace on earth, peace on earth." Yeah, as kids thought, why don't you try it? Why don't you try it sometime? Peace on earth instead of war, war, war constantly. We're the war country now, for sure. We spend more on war than the next 10 countries combined. Our #1 export right now is weapons of war in the United States. Oh, but we don't have money for our schools. We don't have money for healthcare. We don't have money for food, healthy food for our kids. But we thought that was wrong, and so we protested by wearing black armbands to school. We said that the adults should have a truce, and they should use their words and negotiate, quit killing each other, having violence all the time. And so when the principals heard about our plan to wear black armbands to school, they made a rule against armbands. Yeah, they didn't want to hear any controversy. They didn't want kids talking about war. And so 5 of us got suspended, and the American Civil Liberties Union came and helped us and took it to court, just like the students in Mississippi had gone to court. We lost at the district level, and we lost at the appeals level. It was in federal court. But right before we lost at the appeals level in Iowa, over here in Mississippi, the students won their case in Mississippi at the appeals level. So because of that, it was a circuit split, and it was appealed to the Supreme Court. Thanks to the ACLU, our young lawyer, Dan Johnston. It was appealed to the Supreme Court, and in 1969, the Supreme Court quoted the Mississippi case, saying you can have your free speech rights in public school. Yes, you should have them, because youth are important for democracy. Youth have ideas that we must listen to. You have new ideas. And the Supreme Court said that schools should not be enclaves of totalitarianism. Sometimes students have something to teach their teachers. And actually, they added the word teachers too, because students' rights and teachers' rights are connected. And there are many teachers. Many teachers right now are under attack, as we know, and many teachers are speaking up and standing up also, and I admire them. But the Supreme Court said neither students or teachers leave their constitutional right to expression when they enter the schoolhouse gate. And a lot of schools around the country and a lot of legislatures and school boards need to remember that message. Students do not leave their rights behind when they enter the schoolhouse gate. And they quoted the Mississippi case, and they said you have your free speech rights. The limit would be that you cannot substantially disrupt school with your free speech. And number 2, you cannot impinge on the rights of others, whatever that means. And that's been debated ever since. But I am so glad to be here with all of you, and I'm so proud that the American Civil Liberties Union defended us and that they are defending so many students around the country right now, and other groups as well, Palestine Legal, many other lawyers and organizations are defending the rights of immigrants, the rights of students. And I just want to end with this note. It was a speech given to the United Nations by some students a few years ago. And they said, we are not the problem, we are the solution. And they said, you call us the future, you say we're the future, but we are the present. So thank you all, stay strong, you are the present, I love you. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all for coming. We have one more chant to do after this, so don't leave. But I just wanted to say thank you again for showing up. This is so critical. We are standing up right now for our rights and for our freedoms and showing them that they can't silence us. And we're here again for everyone who couldn't be here as well. And so I wanted to say that too. So please stay in touch. Head over to this table afterward. We put up a bunch of QR codes. And if you add your email address there, we'll inform you about future actions you can take. The Student Coalition is going to continue growing, continue to go strong. So thank you all. We're going to do one more chant.
All right, we got one last one for y'all, one last one. We're gonna end off with our message from the very beginning. First of all, hell no. And second of all, hands off our